There is not going to be a bullshit dragged out intro for this video. This is just going to be your full guide to purposeful sleep. Take it or leave it. If you skip on optimizing your sleep for your purpose, then you are retarded in the literal sense of the word of being kept back in a mental function. Enjoy having low-level brain damage for the rest of your life. If you skip on improving your sleep, you need to optimize your sleep in order to be the most purposeful for your life. And most likely, your sleep sucks greatly. The vast majority of people are sleep deprived nowadays, despite what they might think. Our purposeful potential is greatly diminished if we do not sleep well, and we do not improve and optimize our sleep for our energy management. Now, after bombarding you with the stats and the figures, only the facts here, I'm going to help you improve your sleep and optimize it completely. But let's understand sleep a little first. Basically, sleep is the free trial of death, or that weird technical definition. It is the restorative phase of our life, basically, because it is said that being awake is just low-level brain damage, and that is literally true.
8 hours of sleep to repair the damage of wakefulness. Wakefulness essentially is low-level brain damage.
It greatly helps in the physical recovery of the body, helping with muscle repair, brain function, and many other physical functions. Basically, all physical functions benefit from improved sleep. So that is what we are trying to get there. Not only the physical parts, but the psychological aspects of us. We get lower anxiety, less depression, and less stress. Or at least we perceive it as less when we have improved sleep. Apart from that, we get better emotional regulation and many other benefits. It would take too much to mention, so I just show you. The extent to which sleep improves our well-being is so great that if it were a drug, it would be sold out. We know that because of the size of the sleeping medication market, and that it only helps us improve our sleep. I'm not going to talk a lot about sleeping medication, but there are opportunities if all else fails. There are many sleeping medications in order for us to get it if all else fails. And I can guarantee you that something here would work. But we still lose $1 gazillion every year when it comes to sleep-related issues and productivity loss. As well as DALYs, or disease-adjusted life years. We lose because we skip on sleep, partially. And most of this damage, at least in the Western world, is self-inflicted. We want to avoid that here. But the argument could be that there are $1 gazillion made from sleep deprivation. You are stupid. Go home. I did not ask about your opinion. Not real. Chill. Think about the employment benefits. Just shut up. Just shut up. We're improving sleep here. For purpose. But let's get into it for real. For our sleep, we exist within ultradian cycles at night. 4 to 5 of them exist every single night. And that is why we have the recommendation for 7 to 9 hours of sleep in order to optimize for these particular cycles. These ultradian cycles last 90 minutes. And we get into different stages of sleep during them, being separated into two categories of REM sleep, as in rapid eye movement sleep, where most of your dreaming happens, and non-REM sleep, or NREM sleep, which is also separated into 4 phases. Non-REM sleep 1, which is basically the transition phase, and then with every single phase it gets deeper and deeper. Non-REM sleep 3 being the most important for us, because it is where most of the recovery happens. REM sleep is also where the processing of emotions happen, so emotional regulation is also a benefit of improved sleep. We want to aim for a nice proportion of non-REM to REM sleep in order for us to optimize the recovery processes of ours. Separate medications have different effects on REM or non-REM sleep, therefore having different effects on our recovery as well. So let's get into the basics of it. The basic advice for sleep still remains. Try to get from 6 to 9 hours of sleep, as most people benefit from that amount. Get rid of blue light exposure in the evening, 2 hours before sleep, preferably. As well as do not eat 1 to 2 hours before sleep. And if you do eat foods that are rich in tyrosine and tryptophan. Foods that help onto getting better sleep. This is where we start optimizing for the quantity, quality, regularity, and the timing of our sleep. These are the 4 factors that matter most when it comes to improving our sleep. We can improve these by our environmental factors. We can create a colder and darker environment as well as a more silent one, trying to decrease the noise that reaches us during sleep. We can do that by investing in earplugs or eye masks as well as blackout curtains, and decreasing the temperature whilst sleeping. But these are just the basics, of course, and frankly, they are quite boring. You already know about them. Let's actually optimize the shit out of our sleep here, okay? We want to become like superhumans by optimizing this. That means well rested most of the time, utilizing the 80-20 rule when it comes to our sleep and productivity. Being well rested nowadays is basically a superpower because nobody is. But you are going to be if you keep the advice in this video. Optimizing our sleep is a whole day process. It's not something that we only do around our sleep time. But we can optimize our whole day for our sleep. Once we wake up, we can already start optimizing our sleep. And we can do that by drinking lemon water and adding mineralized salt to it, as well as doing lymphatic drainage exercises, possibly jumping jacks, or rebounding on a mini trampoline. As well as we can wash our face with cold water, or hitting a cold shower right there in the morning to already start the cortisol peaks that may help us ease off later better when it comes to getting better sleep the next day. We want to peak our cortisol levels early, which we can do by exposing ourselves to cold right there in the first part of the day. Hitting a cold shower is a great way to wake up already because of these mechanisms right there. And there are also very many other benefits to cold exposure and cold thermogenesis, not just for sleep. At least a cold splash on our face could do for increasing cortisol to taper it off later. Another thing that we can try for this particular period is a fasted cardio exercise. And that is in order to get going for the day as well, for energy management already. And one of the most important things that we can do, if not the most important things that we can do for the morning, is looking at sunlight. Not through a window, because windows block a lot of the sunlight that reaches our eyes, but actually going outside and getting sun into our eyes right there in the morning to start the production of the right hormones in our brain in order to optimize our melatonin production, the hormone that is responsible for sleep. Within the suprachiasmatic nucleus, you don't really need to remember that. I barely even remember it. It is an important part of the brain that is for the regulation of sleep. And getting sunlight in our eyes is an important way to start with the regulation of hormones. This is very important for optimizing our circadian rhythms. Important part for this, don't look at the sun if it hurts. Don't be silly. Only look at the sun for this reason when it is at a low solar angle. But right now, the 90-minute cycles start. The ultradian cycles. For every single cycle, we can optimize for them by taking a small break. Taking a walk or just standing up from our work every 90 minutes in order to optimize for the productivity of the ultradian cycles themselves. And as I said, with this process, low-level brain damage starts within your brain. Being awake is low-level brain damage in this sense. And right now, if you have problems with lethargy and lower energy levels, then optimizing your blood sugar levels, possibly by getting on a ketogenic diet or trying intermittent fasting, these could be also ways to optimize for sleep as well. But some breathing exercises might help you in maintaining your alertness during the day so that you can sleep better later and do not nap right there. Hyperoxygenation breathing being one of the best ways to optimize for sleep. We can try Wim Hof breathing for this reason, to energize ourselves. We can breathe fully in deeply into our body and only breathe out 75%. And we repeat this for 30 cycles. And then after the 30 cycles, we breathe out and we maintain this until we can. And then breathe in a large breath and maintain that. This is a way to get hyperoxygenation and get energized during the day. Another way that we can optimize for this is by doing a non-sleep deep rest protocol, which means scanning through our whole body
until your lungs are empty.
Progressively, taking deep breaths and lying down. It is very important to not fall asleep during these periods.
Imagine your lower body.
Or if you do it for only 20 minutes or less. Talking about energy here, delaying caffeine intake 1 to 2 hours after waking up and 5 to 8 hours before going to sleep is a way that we can optimize for the energy benefits of caffeine itself, so that it doesn't mess with our sleep. It is important to mention it because caffeine halts adenosine release. It binds to those receptors. Therefore, it can interfere with our sleep if we drink caffeine before going to sleep. If the energy crash comes at any moment in the day, apart from the Wim Hof breathing and the NSDR protocols, we can also take a nap. But it is very important to follow the 30-90 rule for taking a nap. That if you are ever to nap, either do it 30 minutes or less, 20 minutes preferably, or do it for 90 minutes. And that is because of the previously mentioned cycles there. You get a lot of sleep inertia and that feeling of extreme lethargy if you sleep more than that or in between that period. Because your brain has fully went through a cycle, or it hasn't triggered a cycle already when it comes to 30 minutes or less. If you don't want that grogginess of sleep, then follow that rule for napping. And waking up naturally is preferable, not just when it comes to the nap, but generally when it comes to the improvement of sleep quality itself. Or at least invest in an alarm clock or an application, a phone application that can help you wake up naturally, gradually. These are just some of the applications. I use the Sleep as Android application for this. You can also use training, exercise, and meditation in order to optimize for your sleep. Afternoon, high-intensity exercise is the most optimal for sleep itself, in order to get better quality sleep. Also, nighttime and evening yoga before going to sleep is beneficial for the sleep itself. as well as meditating before sleep. Mindfulness meditation and the focusing on the breath itself has been shown to improve sleep quality, and it also makes us need less sleep because of their particular mechanisms. When it comes to the chemical enhancement of sleep, alcohol may help you fall asleep faster, but it is going to deeply disturb the quality of your sleep. So the benefits of falling faster asleep are outweighed by its disadvantages of decreasing the sleep quality. But at this point in the afternoon, the other chemicals that we can focus on for the enhancement of sleep, naturally occurring chemicals, would be the tryptophan in our food or the tyrosine food. They are the ones that help us produce serotonin, the hormone that is responsible for contentment but also sleep to this extent. Now that we are in the evening and before sleep, the full arsenal of sleep techniques is going to get unleashed here. Getting a blue light blocking software on our computer as well as our phone, I personally use Flux for my computer and Twilight for my phone, as well as the bedtime mode, and possibly getting blue light blocking eyeglasses on during this period because of the overhead lights that we may experience during this period. Getting rid of LED lights and replacing them with incandescent ones, older ones, might also be beneficial for this because of the sleep disruptive effects of overhead lighting and specifically LED lighting. It is also an option to unplug electrical devices and the Wi-Fi during night in order to improve the sleep and generally to reduce EMF radiation. But we can still utilize our electronic devices in order to optimize for our sleep by getting in binaural beats, specifically lower frequency binaural beats for the enhancement of getting into the sleeping phase itself. Because the brain does work on sound frequencies and we can improve our sleep by doing this. De-stressing is also major for getting sleep. For de-stressing, there are many techniques, but also writing in a gratitude journal has been shown to improve sleep quality by changing our pre-sleep cognitions towards positivity. Trying to name 3 things that we are grateful for that day is the practice of gratitude journaling. Doing nothing, just nothing at all before sleep, is a good way as well to improve the sleep, which means sitting there and just focusing on our breath, or what some people call mindfulness meditation. It has been shown to improve sleep quality, as I said, and decrease our need for sleep as well. And this is especially enhanced, and this sleep quality is especially enhanced when combined with gratitude. But positive visualization techniques is also a way that we can improve our sleep quality. Visualizing a nice and a beautiful scene, a natural scene that we are peaceful in. Downloading Medito, the application for meditation, has many sleep specific meditations in there in order to improve the quality of our sleep. Prayer also fits here, by the way, for spiritual practice. In my view, the chemical enhancement, supplementation for sleep, is a last resort after doing all the behavior modifications that I've previously mentioned. First, we can utilize the more natural supplements that are out there for the enhancement of sleep, like ashwagandha and magnesium. L-theanine, as well as tryptophan supplements could work here. And also be careful with melatonin supplementation, because most melatonin pills have too much melatonin, which may downregulate our endogenous production, as an internal production of the hormone itself, decreasing our sleep quality overall. And if literally all else fails, psychotherapy for insomnia as well as sleeping medications could be our last-ditch effort in improving our sleep. The position in sleeping also matters a lot. Sleeping on our back has its particular benefits for being the most basic sleeping position, but it also might lead to worse mouth breathing and snoring. If you're more of a back sleeper, consider getting mouth taping in order to improve your sleeping as well as your general life quality. Sleeping on the sides might be beneficial for lymph circulation, but it might be uncomfortable for some, and if you do consider doing that, consider getting a pillow in between your legs in order to optimize for your spine as well. Getting temperature changing blankets, in my view, is an overrated way to improve it, but it is an option as well as getting a white noise creating device, possibly for the noise cancellation effects of it. There are many other sleep schedules apart from the monophasic one that we are most likely used to. There is also a biphasic, an everyman's routine, which is more separated, and then there's the Uberman sleep schedule. The Uberman sleep schedule is that of famous artists and inventors out there, like Leonardo da Vinci and Tesla. And that means very specifically sleeping every 4 hours for 30 minutes. That means overall 3 hours of sleep. But it is very important that we have to strictly observe the naps themselves for every 30 minutes, every 4 hours. Because if we don't, then we're just going to have chronic sleep deprivation worse than you could imagine. So it is really important, if you ever plan on implementing anything other than a monophasic or biphasic sleep schedule, to really strictly adhere to it in order to prevent the nasty effects of chronic sleep deprivation. Depending on the temperature of your location, sleeping naked might also be a possibility. Investing in a good quality pillow without any of the weird chemicals and flame retardants that are disrupting your sleep and sinuses, as well as bad idea for your posture. Trying to fall asleep as well, right there in the moment, is a counterproductive measure. Try not to fall asleep. Just forget about falling asleep when you struggle with it. And try the 4-7-8 breathing schedule of breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 7 seconds, and breathing out slowly for 8 seconds. It is one of the best breathing techniques for specifically sleep. Showering, either cold or warm, both benefit falling asleep beforehand for energy management and getting down the body temperature in order to fall asleep. For regularity of your sleep, focus on not sleeping in most of the time. Try to not sleep in as much as you can, not even on weekends, in order to improve the regularity of your sleep for many of the benefits of regular sleep. For the fourth aspect, which is your timing of your sleep, your chronotype matters here the most. There are 4 chronotypes out there with different needs to their sleep. There are the lions, the dolphins, the wolves, and the bears. You can figure out your own, which you probably already know, but here's a test in order for you to recognize your own chronotype. All of these different chronotypes have different needs for when they should go to sleep. You probably know about the dichotomy of the evening versus the morning person. And optimizing your sleep for your own chronotype is beneficial for your health in this manner. It matters a whole lot to adjust this for your purpose. And talking about purpose, it is very important for you to be able to formulate your purpose statement in a sentence in order for you to optimize for your sleep. Because purpose and your ability to declare it is also shown to improve your sleep greatly. It prevents sleep disturbances and it improves the quality of your sleep generally. The rest of the techniques are nice, but for purpose, not only does it have so many other great benefits, but it probably improves your sleep the most of all of these, especially if you give it all during your day and fall to your sleep like a king. If you can fall to your sleep like a king, living on your purpose, you're going to have the best quantity and quality of sleep out there possibly. Living your days authentically to yourself is a way to benefit your sleep quality. Working during your day with leaving nothing in the tank leaves you with the best sleep at the end of the day. Plus, it's also true that improved sleep improves your sense of purpose as well. It helps your productivity. It helps your energy. As I said, too many benefits to mention. They exist in a cyclical relationship. So keep that in mind for your purpose. We need good sleep for a good purpose, and we need a good purpose for good sleep. So keep that in mind. It can start out with either. The action step for this video is to download the applications and check the sunrise or the sunset, depending on which one is closer to you currently. Checking out the sun at a low solar angle is beneficial for your sleep no matter your other habits. But optimizing for them is also a good idea. Here are the applications that I use for optimizing my sleep, including Flux and Twilight. My sleep has never been better, and my purpose hasn't been better because of my sleep partially, despite sleeping on the ground currently. Hey, at least I don't have the feeling to want to remain there. I don't want to remain there. Take the action step from this video and get the best quality sleep of your life, and trust me, you won't regret taking the steps. Join our school community for purposeful living, the Purpose School, by clicking on the top link in the description. Click like, subscribe, watch the video on the screen, and remember to waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. And just be one. But we still lose $1 gazillion or whatever every day